Wesley Chapel, where every builder in Florida is building, where every Tampa transplant is moving to, and yet somehow prices have dropped year over year since last April. Make it make sense.
I'm not surprised.
But we're going to make it make sense for you guys today. I'm Jimmy B, and this is Annie O with LPT Realty, and we're about to walk you through the April 2026 numbers. The ones the news isn't reporting, and the ones builders sure as hell are not putting in their commercials. We're going to talk about median prices, how long it's taking to sell, and the one stat that explains why buyers are sitting on the fence right now. So if you're trying to figure out this crazy Wesley Chapel market and if it's a good place to buy a home in 2026, or if you're panicking about selling yours, stick around. Here's the honest truth.
All right, so let's start with how many new listings are on the market. Last April, we were at 283. This April in 2026, we're at 301.
Whoa, repeat that again?
Yeah, 301.
Versus?
It was 283.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going up. And actually, just FYI, this is the only major market in Tampa Bay where the inventory has gone up. Wow. Which is huge. So just give you an idea, 301 new listings is your competition. If your photos or anything looks off, like, you're already losing. And then because, also a reminder, builders they know the same thing. So what are they doing? They're dangling rate buy downs in front of the buyers. So they're competing with you too.
What's a rate buy down, Annie?
So a rate buy down basically is where, say the interest rate is 6.5% for a 30-year fixed, they're doing closing cost concessions and incentives to buyers where that they will do, instead of 6.5%, it may be at 4%, 4.5%. So now when you're talking about, how much someone's paying for a house, but then all of a sudden their monthly payment could be $200-300 cheaper a month, that adds up. And trust me, there are a lot of buyers that are factoring that into what they're really choosing for their next house.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, this is a really telling market with these stats. So here's another one for you, and that's the median sales price. So the median sales price last year in April was $441,508.
Yeah.
This year, $412,699. That's down 6.5% year over year from last year. Prices actually dropped 6.5%. That does not happen in Florida as a whole very often.
Yeah, really.
So if you bought in 2022 and you're trying to price it at last year's number, you're really going to get to know your dust bunnies a lot better.
Yeah.
So as a buyer, what's really great is that, especially for new construction, you have a ton of builder incentives, falling prices. This is your moment. I would capitalize on it. If you're a seller, comps don't care what you paid for the property, right? Yeah. You need to price it aggressively because we're going through a market reset in that area. This is a rare Florida market where buyers are actually winning on price. The new construction tsunami, if you want to call it that, is the reason why.
Yeah, no, I totally believe that. So let's talk about inventory in terms of how much is available. This number is a little bit skewed because when it comes to builders, not every builder actually posts how many homes they have available or that are ready for buyers. So that is a caveat with this whole thing. So when it looks at it, we're going to say, honestly, the biggest things you need to know about Wesley Chapel is that stop saying highest and best or multiple offers expected, because it's really not. Remember, I just said if you're on the market, you're going to have 300 other properties that are going to be your competition. So more than likely, you're not going into multiple offers. Also, buyers can smell desperation and they can also smell delusion. So if you're pricing it way above and everything, they have plenty of other options that they can choose from, and you're going to be the one missing out. So buyers, this is the closest thing to a buyer's market you have. Use it to your advantage before it goes away. And sellers, do not use language from 2022 thinking that that's going to happen now. Be realistic and sell based on what's happening in 2026.
Yep. It is what it is. If you bought high during that, 2021, 22 into 23, and you have to sell now, let's be honest, you're probably going to take a little bit of a hit.
Yep.
In the Wesley Chapel market.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk about the average days on market. And again, all these numbers correlate. They go hand in hand. Last year, the average days on market in April was 69. Okay. This year, it's 90. So that's 21 days slower, 3 full weeks of more carrying costs And a lot of sellers don't think about their carrying costs. You still have your mortgage interest, your taxes, your insurance, your
Maintenance.
utilities, your HOA,
Yeah.
your lawn care, your pool, like it all adds up. So it's really smart to price right off the get-go. Otherwise, you're going to be one of the statistics at the 90 plus day mark, and you're going to end up spending more money. Okay. So if you're a buyer in this market, you truly have some real leverage. You want to ask for that rate buy down, ask for the washer and dryer, or something else in the house that you may like, because the worst they're going to say is no. And if you're a seller, you need to plan about 3 months minimum from the
Yeah.
time that you really get this on the market until you're, moving. So there's no like, let's raise the price now and drop it later games. The fast market is gone, the patient market is here, and sellers, can't fix, slow with being stubborn with their pricing.
Right, right. No, it makes sense. So, talk about stubborn pricing. That goes into exactly the stat I want to talk about. So, in the month of April, we had 12 homes that were active on the market that actually came off or they expired because they didn't actually get what they were looking for. Usually, what that means is that, if you have an agent that's just telling you what you want to hear versus what you need to hear, you need to get a second opinion from someone who actually knows what they're doing, like us. The market right now is rewarding realists. If you're a dreamer, you're not going to get anywhere. Or I like to say Fantasyland. So if you're living in Fantasyland thinking that a buyer's going to come out of the woodworks and all of a sudden give you your price, like this is not the market for you. So overall, buyers, just be aware that if a home is sitting on the market, it's a pricing problem and make an offer of something that you would actually pay. And sellers, FYI, wrong list price will equal an expired listing and no exceptions. So don't fight the comps that you see around your house.
And then the last stat we're going to talk about is how many homes actually sold in the month of April this year versus last year. So last year in April, there was 180 homes that sold.
Okay.
This year in April, there was only 154 that sold. Okay. That's down 14% year over year. So buyers, you don't need to bring a love letter in your firstborn anymore to win the property. And we are seeing buyers are starting to act more like normal human beings instead of fighting for that last roll of toilet paper during a hurricane. So yeah, so for a buyer, you want to bring a clean offer, skip the theatrics. You're not going to get outbid by 12 people, but let's be realistic. If a home is listed for what's the median sale price, 412,000, don't come in at 300,000.
Yeah.
But you can get maybe some selling incentives, closing cost incentives for that rate buy down, or to put a little bit of extra money in your pocket. If you're a seller, don't lose a real buyer over maybe like a $3,000 seller credit. Maybe something came up on the inspections, or maybe the buyer just needs some closing cost assistance. If the buyer is a serious buyer in this market, you definitely don't want to lose them. You want to give them what they want, because honestly, your next buyer may not come around for another 30 days looking at these numbers. So overall, the demand has completely cooled, but it didn't die. Buyers are pickier and they know they have a lot more options.
Yeah, they absolutely do. So, to quickly recap Wesley Chapel and what's been happening, it is the most buyer friendly market in Pasco County right now. So, prices are down, inventory's up, sellers are negotiable. So, if you've been on the fence, this is a real window and opportunity for you. It won't stay open forever.
And one thing I would like to add too that a lot of people don't know, we brought up a lot in here about new construction and how new construction is affecting the market the way that it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a common misconception out there with a lot of home buyers that if you're going to buy new construction, that you don't need a realtor. And that couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
You want us in your corner. You don't have to pay us anything. The builder pays our fees, but you got to remember the builder rep on site represents the
seller,
which is the builder, right? Call us if you're interested in new construction. We know all the ins and outs. We know who's giving the best incentives and deals, and we'll help you get an amazing deal if you're interested in new construction. So again, I'm Jimmy B, and this is Annie O, the realtors that
you need to know.